Oh, yeah. Okay.
So I'm always going to do a quick demo with all of your devices, so that way you guys all kind of know what you're looking for tomorrow morning. When you get your device, you're probably going to have questions. Please hang on to those questions. Otherwise, we're going to be here till like 2 in the morning at the street corner. So with this, we're going to be looking for what? What do you think? It's a thermal imaging camera.
So probably cold spots.
Exactly. It's exactly what we're looking for. It's the old adage that we are looking for cold spots with this guy. So this is the real deal. This is a FLIR. So this is actually what firemen use to actually help save people. So this is not a phone app. This is not some phony things that you can download. Like, this is the real deal. You guys should be able to see me in there, right? The red, orange, and yellow guy. So my skin should be pretty white, right? So that means I'm the warmest thing inside the picture at this point. So, sorry, Jamel, but I'm the hottest thing inside the picture, too. So, haha, Nick's got jokes. Nice. So he can wear the shirt. I can crack off some dad jokes. I'm good with that. But anyway, we're literally looking for blue and black areas to either take shape or start moving on their own. So the cool thing about this is there's a blue dot that's bouncing around the screen that's kind of giving us the coldest spot in the frame at that particular moment. So you'll see it bouncing around the screen on your video. So you're going to get the full video of this back. We're going to do a few starts and stops with this guy, just because as great as the hardware is, the software sucks. If we record for too long, we're going to lose a lot of footage. So am I expecting this guy to actually die about halfway through? I am, now that I can't attach because this device is only technically supposed to last about an hour to an hour and 15 minutes. That's why I keep it attached to a battery pack on the back. So at that point, Jamel, I'm actually going to give you another device after this guy actually dies out, but I do want to get the footage that we can actually capture, while we can. So what I'm going to do at this point to kind of save the battery life. So watch what happens when I put the sky in view. So the black up there is the sky. There's no surface up there, so it's going to default to the sky. So we're going to go ahead and record for a little bit, and we're going to see how much time we can get out of it. So again, just kind of remember that the camera is on your lower left-hand side, so if you want to hold it just right-handed, I'm perfectly fine with that. Just make sure it stays horizontal. So I say I'm going to show you more, Miss Cat, at the next location, so because yours takes a little bit longer than that quick explanation of what I just did. So again, with yours, just nice, even, Steven. That thing has been phenomenal.
Okay. How do I record?
The circle button. It's the only circle at the top.
Okay,
There's
right.
2 lines and a circle. I want to say it's all the way to your left.
My left?
It's the furthest left. There you go.
Right there, the little okay.
Yep. All right.
And should I keep it recording, or you want me to wait till we get to a certain
Yeah,
point?
go ahead. Let's go and get it started. Let's see how long it'll last. Let's make sure we're going to get this thing up and running. That way I don't have to swap out devices. It's not recording yet. I don't know what you hit.
Oh.
Yeah, opposite side. My bad.
Well, I hit a button, so I hope I didn't.
Yeah, there's a power button.
So. Okay, is it recording now? Oh yeah, I got the
little
little
timer going?
Yeah.
Perfect. All right, let's get away from ponies and football players. Let's go learn about some real history.
I don't know, I kind of like the phones.
I got no other history.
Fair enough. Where would you want to come up from?
Augusta.
Augusta?
Yeah.
I've got family in Hiram, so I know a little bit of Georgia, but not a lot.
Yeah, we literally just got into town.
Something's not good. I was just going to say that. I'm full, I'm not even hungry.
It's gonna be over when we get done. I hope so. White House to the top.
No, stinking.
50 mosquitoes must have attacked my ankles while we were standing over there. Anybody else getting bit up?
No.
Welcome to Charleston. This is bad. It's on fire right now. So you guys didn't need that much. It's like a little bit of TMI, right? So welcome to another beautiful space of Charleston. You made it to the parking lot. Congratulations. So this space used to be something. That's why I bring you here. It used to be the Eliza and Charles Pinckney Mansion. It actually used to sit in the front of this space. Eliza's garden was lined up with Five Church Restaurant that came all the way across, and we are standing in the servant and slave quarters for the home. So everybody kind of gets the layout of the land here. So, who the heck were these people? I guess first off, spirit box person, because I'm not used to just having one. This is weird for me, by the way. I have 6 of them. I normally pass out. I'm not going to be giving you questions here like what color is George Washington's white horse, just so you know. Like what we did over there with the Red Barn, you're going to get the answers from that guy. So, this used to be, again, the Pinckney Mansion site. Eliza and Charles had a son named Charles. They had a nephew named Charles. That's 3 Charleses. Do you see why I always need a second verifier? So I know which Charles I'm actually talking to. We had Charles, the name, show up here last night, but we had no secondary verifier that I could find to be able to figure out who the hell, which one it was. So, but they had the son and the nephew were signers of the Constitution for South Carolina. That's a pretty big deal for us, but I hate politics more than everybody here. So we're going to move on. Eliza's way cooler anyway. Eliza married Charles at a young age, according to today's standards. So when I say according to today's standards, if you ask her how old she was when she got married, you are not going to hear numbers like 12 and 14. What'd you get?
Early. It said early.
Okay. And any readings coming out of your box yet? Nothing that you can see? Okay.
And this has stopped recording. It says please format card.
Oh, that was the problem we were having last night. Damn it. I tested it earlier today for like 3 hours.
I didn't want to interrupt,
Damn.
but I was like, I'm dead in the water.
So, as I fix this craziness, where was I? Oh, so the only reason I bring up Eliza's age at marriage is because her husband, Charles, was over double her age when they got married. So, again, pretty big age gap back then in colonial times, pretty big age gap now. So, Eliza married Charles because her father over in England thought he was dying. And he was trying to bring all of his kids home because he wants to see all of his kids one last time. She didn't think he was dying, so she stays put and she gets married. I'm going to just shut it down and restart it and see what happens. She gets married in 1744, so she didn't marry this guy for a green card or for citizenship. We're not even a country, so she did marry him out of love, just so everybody knows. But she was right. Her dad did not die right away, and he starts sending her apologetic gifts to this space. One of those gifts happened to be the plant seeds of indigo. Let me know if it comes up again that way. If not, I'll have to go into the settings and figure that out. But one of the gifts was the plant seeds of indigo. So indigo is a plant that makes blue dye that makes her blue jeans blue.
It's back up.
Kat's the only one wearing it tonight. So I'm actually going to get you a spirit box here in a moment. Just because I'm going to give up this damn thing. I'm telling you, I've had more trouble with this model. Save the batteries on those guys. You're the only one wearing indigo right now because that's how we use it today. We dye our blue jeans with indigo seeds. Now when she got it, she didn't know what the hell she was doing with it. So she had to learn from her slaves on how to keep it cultivated. The slaves we had here in town were from the Gullah country. So basically, they're agriculturists. They're straight from Africa. That's how they survived. It's very smart of her to ask for some advice, experiment with it here, move it to a plantation just north of here, calls her dad and says, rice plantations are going downhill. We can make a killing with this indigo. We now have an international businesswoman during colonial times. So that's something absolutely unheard of. So that's her business. Let's get into the weird stuff because that's why everybody's here. Eliza was the second wife named Eliza from Charles back to back. So, yeah, very smart or very stupid, just depending on how you look at it. First wife Eliza dies in January of 1744. He marries the second Eliza in May of 1744, 5 months later. So both Elizas, ironically, have a maiden name that starts with the letter L. So if we want to figure out which Eliza we're dealing with, then you can ask what her maiden name is. The mansion's not here anymore. You can obviously ask what happened to it. So when you guys get your spirit box, I'm going to give you an open air one that works a little bit differently, so that way you don't have just the earbud in. But you can ask what happened to the mansion, and if you get an answer, ask what year that happened. Notice these are all very specific things. Sometimes we even get the full date. It's crazy. The children, I told you there's at least one. His name was Charles. Yes, Kat, I know. History's long and boring. So wait till they start talking back to you. It won't become boring anymore. She yawned. I'm going to tease her. So, but with that said, Charles was the only child that I told you of so far. There are more. You can ask how many she had and what their names were, but that's it. There's a tragedy among those kids. If we poke the bear, all activity will stop. We haven't gotten anything on Kat's device yet, but if we did, it would probably sit at 0 and we wouldn't get anything the rest of the evening. Eliza's death is where she's pretty open. You can ask her how old she was when she died, what she died from, where she's buried, and what U.S. president was a pallbearer at her funeral. So, again, very specific questions. So we are going to spread out on this location. Again, I feel like a mess tonight. I forgot your cord. This damn guy's not working for me. Like, I'm just all over the map. Like, you're looking at me like, really? Has this guy got it together? I do.
No.
I just forgot the damn cord. It's kind of making me angry. And then the guys that make this guy, I went back and forth with them because they wouldn't ship me back the other one quick enough. I'm like, just get it to me overnight. Like, I gotta have this camera. I am sold out every night, and you gotta send me this camera. No, we can only do 4-day shipping. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. So I told them I would pay for it, and they still said no. So I finally get it back, and now this guy just doesn't want to work. So yes, it's kind of making me angry. It's a little frustrating. So let's get you your spirit box and show you how it works real quick. Well, I'm actually going to tinker with this as you guys kind of spread out in this lot.
Having a little PTSD from when I worked at the 911 center.
Oh boy.
And I had to listen to the radio in one ear and listen to a phone call in the other. And I was like, hold on, repeat that.
Yeah, repeat it. My jam was
That
on.
you say again?
Hang on.
It takes a special individual to do that.
Yes.
I'd be like, no. Ow.
So you've probably used the old SB, the little SB7s, right?
I don't remember.
It's a little tiny
It's been
spirit
so
box.
long. I was gonna say, no, I don't think we ever used a spirit box, honestly.
Oh really?
I don't remember.
That's not be real fun for you then.
Well, we were a bunch of college students running around Tampa, and actually, no, we actually did some pretty good stuff, but it was not high tech.
So this spirit box is going to go through both FM and AM radio stations simultaneously. It's also going to try to drown out the white noise that Kendra's hearing. So it's only going to spit out words from time to time. So I've been averaging about 10 to 12 words in a 2-hour time frame.
Okay.
So when it comes through, it's going to be crystal clear. With both of you listening in, because I'm giving you the open air one, obviously you have hopefully a verify of what you actually heard. So if you're asking questions, the answers will come through this giant speaker. The only thing I'm going to show you is how to hold it and where the mute button is. So the blinking lights mean that that's the top. The mute button is on your right-hand side. It's the only button there. I'm going to unmute it now, but there'll be certain spaces where I say, let's go ahead and mute that just because of where we are.
Okay.
So, but yeah, definitely use this to ask the questions that I kind of gave you. If you go rogue with your questions, and you can listen in too. She's got an extra earbud. And again, if that thing does die on us, which I'm actually expecting it to, I will have something else at the ready so that way you guys can both listen into the same spirit box and you're still working other than just listening in. So, but yeah, I'm going to play with this camera for a few minutes. We are not going to be filming any cars, just so you know, because now you're the only one with a camera. He's too tall for you, isn't he? He can't reach you.
No, and he wasn't going to bend down or anything.
He's not ruining that dad bod. So
That's too much bending.
I know, right? So no filming of any vehicles whatsoever. We're actually going to stay away from the vehicles, only because I don't like to be screamed at, and I'm sure you guys won't either. But let's show you how to work that REM pod. Pull up the antenna for me. Now flip the device around to the back. There's a flap back there. You're going to lift it up this way. It's very loose. You'll have to hold it up. There's 2 little white buttons underneath that flap. The one closer to the edge is the one you want. Click it into the device. Perfect. Flip the device around slowly. It's going to go off with your motions. There's a way to reset it. If you hold it in your right hand where your thumb is, there's going to be 4 buttons. So find the bottom button and keep your thumb on that bottom button. Every time it goes off, click it. Right. So I don't care.
So don't hold it down.
Yeah, don't hold it down, just click it one time. Because basically what you just did was you created another EMF field around the antenna. If something's going to get near it, it's going to go off every time. But your jostling motions will make it go off too. So as you're walking around, it's going to go off a little bit. So always, always, always reset, and that's a way to verify. If it goes off and goes to a weird color like blue or purple, stop, reset it. If it goes back to the same color, it didn't come from your motion. Do you kind of see where I'm getting rid of the false positive? The other thing we can do with this is you can ask for a color. If you want something specific to come up, go ahead and watch the lights for a second. There's blue, purple, red, yellow, green, obviously. Ask for a specific color. If you get that color, reset it, ask again. Obviously, that's a verifier to be able to do it twice in a row. So, there was something going on there.
I think it said green.
I couldn't make it out. It was a little muffled.
Yeah, I kind of got
All right. Spread out for a few minutes. I'm going to follow up with you guys in just a moment. Let me know what y'all are hearing. But I'm going to try to mess with this camera real quick. And if I can get it up and running, maybe I'll use the damn thing, right?
Okay.
All right.
So, the ghost's name is Eliza. Eliza, were you nice to the slaves? How many kids did you have? Eliza, how many kids did you have? What happened to you? Well, I'm just going to tell you straight up, I don't think you should. I don't feel like I'm doing this right.
You said ask specific questions.
I don't even know if I'm asking this woman her right name. And maybe she don't want to talk to me because I'm black. See?
It was Eliza.
Eliza,
How many kids did you have?
how many kids did you have? Eliza, what happened to you? How did you die?
You hear anything yet?
No. I don't know if I'm doing it right. But
Are you asking
no.
questions?
I
There's no
am.
wrong way to do this. You just don't want to piss her off. That's why I say don't poke the bear with that baby's question. Like with one of the
What
kids.
is her name again?
Eliza.
Eliza. Okay, so I was asking the right name.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know if I pissed her off by calling her the wrong name. I don't know.
It was Eliza.
How many kids did you have?
There you go. Just keep asking questions. See if you get any answers out of it.
She's trying to get some spikes.
What do you got?
What was your husband's name? What was your husband's name? Was it?
Can you repeat
What was
that?
it? What was it? Was it?
Charles. I think.
What are you trying to tell us? Can you repeat that? What was the husband's name?
What was your husband's name? Can you tell me how many kids you had?
Everything seems to be running fine on this. If you want to hand her that spirit box.
How many kids did you have?
I know you got the purse. You good? It's just a lot to handle.
Ask where was she from?
She falls
Where was
asleep
she
train.
from?
It was hours ago. We're good. Eliza, are you here with us?
I'm so bummed I forgot that name.
So Eliza,
Who is with us this evening?
Are you hearing anything out of there?
you know who I am. Who are you? Are you Eliza?
It said you know who I am?
Yeah. Who am I speaking to?
Eliza, Charles, give us your names if you're here. These folks are just wanting to learn about you. You know who I am. Nothing?
Nothing.
That's just on the radio.
Okay. Maybe find a new spot. Not very good.
Which one am I speaking to? Who am I speaking to? Who am I speaking to? Okay. Can you tell me how many kids you have? 4? How many kids does she have?
This big, but it has 20 holders on it, and I'll use what's on the camera because it came with 4. There's 4 on this big one, and then there's 2 right here on the side. So I'll get rid of these 2, and just have 20 on top plus the 4, so I'll have 24 versus the 10 that's on the now. So I'll still have triple.
I'm not getting anything. I don't know if I'm doing this or not. I don't know what else to ask. What color was your house?
So did you have a garden? Ask her, did she have a garden?
Huh?
Say, nice, did you have a garden?
Oh. Well, he said not to ask yes or no questions.
Oh, yeah.
What was in your garden?
The lines of war is charged.
He's here.
What's coming up out of yours? What do we got going on?
Just random stuff.
Random stuff. You're going to get better at this as the night goes on.
I don't feel like I'm great at it right now.
Okay, most people don't. I'm not here to make you feel silly or stupid, but it's one of those things where you got to get used to it. But this is such an active area. This is one of the reasons why I have this at the beginning of our time together, because it is so active and it can be easy to pick things up. So some nights it's a little lighter than normal. It just happens. I can't make the ghosts do anything because they're not on the payroll. So I'm not paying them to come out and say boo. You know, it's we get what we get. Unfortunately, it's all about learning the equipment and the crazy stories, I'm gonna tell you. All right, you guys aren't hearing anything on that either. All right, let's go against this wall. I'll get you guys all the answers. How about that? And then we'll, again, when I see that there's not a whole lot of things going on, I'm going to move us on quickly.
Okay.
Trying not to get you guys blinded.
Yeah.
So, kind of give you guys a base reading. We'll stop your recording. Kind of
So.
save some battery. Go ahead and hit the square. It's a quick tap. It's quick. Nope, it's okay. I'm learning about it too. So just kind of keep your camera steered in one direction. Did you hear anything along the way here? Nothing? Something came through. Alright, so I'll definitely have to focus on that when I'm going through your data in the morning. You heard the word criminal. right? So I wrote that one down.
So that's what my brain registered. So.
Yep. Well, we weren't. If anything, it might come up on the regular audio, so you can verify that through the regular because your camera wasn't recording yet. But when we crossed that last crosswalk coming down, that's where the original Charlestown Wall used to be. It used to go up Cumberland Street and was across the street from us on East Bay Street as we were coming down. The reason I like to bring you down here is because this is one of the first streets we ever had here in Charleston. People used to live here. I have the full list of residents of every person that's ever lived here. The names I commonly get are Benjamin and John. So Benjamin and John both lived here in 1801. They show up every 6 to 7 weeks. It gets a little weird here. Again, this is a weird type of instance, but this is kind of like a little bit of all type of paranormal things. But when I see people lived here, I'm not talking like there's dozens of houses lining the street. I'm talking like 12, maybe 8 shotgun houses, 8 to 12 roughly. But there's only 2 to 5 people listed on this roster at any given time. There's something going on with your temperature gauge. You must have tapped something on the side. By accident. Not a big deal. Those buttons on there, they're going to get hit. But Benjamin and John's names show up every 6 to 7 weeks. Now, right now, we're in week like 2 to 3 of that loop that I keep track of. So I wasn't expecting you guys here, to hear those actual names, but I never know what's actually going to occur. So that's why I still kind of give you the theory on why that actually happens. You're standing on Belgian blocks. So basically, these bricks have been here for a couple of hundred years. They say that if bricks or any kind of stone has been natural from the earth, like granite, because that's what these are allegedly made out of, that they can hang on to the consciousness of memories. They call it place memory, and it'll replay it back to us on electronic devices. So it's basically recording the events that actually occurred here and then just playing it back. So again, it's like it's a 6 to 7 week long loop, and I'm just capturing the tail end of it. Now, there were 4 different Johns that lived here during a 60-year time frame. So every once in a while, John will give us his last name, which is Johnson. Yes, his name was John Johnson. So it happens a lot. Here in Charleston, you'll see Alexander. You'll see John Johnson. Are you seeing things on there? You got that puzzle look.
No, I felt like I just caught movement out from my eye, but I'm not seeing anything else.
This space will capture an orb or two at least once a week. So with that specific camera. Unfortunately, it hasn't been working for me up until tonight. So hopefully it continues. But with that said, that's kind of what we call the stone tape theory, and that's why I like to bring you guys down here, because it is such a weird thing to study in the paranormal field. But that's why we're actually getting things. Do me a favor, put your device right on a brick for me and tell me if you get any kind of reading at all. So this is actually going to be my next podcast episode, so I'm actually studying this a little bit further. Now, these bricks made of granite. Granite is not supposed to hold on to any electromagnetic field at all. It is not like magnetite or limestone, which I'm sure you all have heard of before by, watching paranormal TV shows. We should only have about up to a 1.1, but when she put it down, she was already at 2, but then it dropped down to 1.3. So we're going to give it a few seconds before I have you pick it back up again. But before people lived here, the Freemasons had a Masonic Lodge down here. That's where the name came from, Lodge Alley. So we do get terms wrapped around the Freemasons, like obviously Freemason, Mason, Illuminati loves to show up here on your spirit box. And first off, I'm going to ask you 2 questions of who the hell's talking about the Illuminati on the radio, first off, and second, why am I only hearing it in this space? Illuminati is like a mystery to everybody. So unless of course you're inside of it, I don't think we're going to get anything. You can go ahead and grab it. But this is an interesting space, and again, one of the first streets we ever had, not to mention it's kind of a creepy alley. So imagine me bringing 10 people down here and lining them up, execution style with these old bricks and cobblestones. With your camera, I have caught a little bit of weird cold spots as we exit the alley. So when we exit the alley, both of you are going to stop recording because we're going to be cutting through a neighborhood to get to our next stop. The next stop is another alley. However, I cannot take you all the way through it, like what we're doing now. Why? Because I've been booted out. I've been kicked out. So it is one of those spaces where it is residential at the end, and yes, I'm the guy who got caught. So you guys have all the blinky lights and cameras and noisemakers, and I'm not supposed to be down there. So I will tell the story of what actually goes on down there, and then of course tell you why I got booted out of it in a little bit more detail, just because it's actually relevant to the rest of our time together and why I had to reroute things. So I'm sure you could appreciate, being on a previous team before, like you guys sneak around a little bit in order to get the good stuff. So as we kind of cut through, I definitely want you guys listening in on your spirit boxes. Let me check mine real quick to see if anything actually popped up. I got the name Tina, which is super weird. Headquarters. Obviously, I just mentioned the Illuminati. Yeah, super weird. So So.
You see a small orb right around the corner of this camera. It's really recording.
I always watch the footage from this location just because it's great for orbs, but there's also a ton of bugs in it. So the bugs, just so you guys know how I go through the debunking process, if it has an origin that started outside the frame and it ended outside the frame, it's a bug every time. So basically, if it's not in your camera and you can see it kind of go in and out, it's a bug. But if something comes in and then just disappears, possibly not a bug. If something appears in the frame and then disappears within the frame, it's definitely not a bug. Because a bug's not going to appear in the frame and then go away. But if it comes off the edges, then that's 99.9% a bug. Like it's just an insect. And again, I'm going to show you guys some like video footage later of our last stop, at the last stop, so that way you kind of know where you're at, of what that camera did the second night I had it. Like it was amazing stuff. I don't think I've ever caught a moving orb in such slow motion and changing direction and of such size. Like it was giant. So, especially if you know anything about this field, stuff you guys see on TV is usually like, did you see that little thing? Did you see that little guy? You know, this was like, hello, I'm going to change direction. Like, it was super slow. It was giant. So I can't wait to show it. I show it every night. Yeah, it's pretty cool stuff. All right, keep listening in. Don't forget to stop your recording as we exit.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm totally focused on everything else.
You're good. Perfect. So, the alley behind me is called Philadelphia Alley. So, Philadelphia Alley used to be called a Dueler's Alley. So, this is where the duels used to occur for the city of Charleston. So, if you've seen Hamilton, you know all about duels. Have you seen Hamilton? Really? You're like the only teenage girl in America that's never seen Hamilton. Okay. Yeah, I was pretty pissed at it too, but all the teenage girls know what it is. Normally when I bring up that reference, they're like, oh, he's going to talk about Hamilton. No, I'm not. But anyway, we all talk about one specific duel, but of course I tell the story differently because you're ghost hunting. This isn't a campfire story the way I tell it. So here goes. There's a doctor that moves down here from Rhode Island. His name is Joseph Brown Ladd. He moves down here because his fiancée, Amanda, just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. She has an attorney helping her out with this cash flow. The attorney thinks the doctor is just after her money, so he tells her to get rid of the doctor. Dr. Ladd moves to Charleston to prove that he's going to make his own money and he doesn't need Amanda's, that way he can kind of win her back. As he comes into town, the coachman that brought him in set him up to be robbed and killed, so it wasn't a very good start or stay to his start in Charleston. Somebody walking by, his name is Ralph Isaacs. He sees what's going on, he knows the person is setting him up, and he warns the doctor. I'm going to stop on Ralph for just a moment because Ralph actually has the same initials as where the doctor came from. Rhode Island, Ralph Isaacs. R.I. will show up here a lot. We actually had Ralph's full name show up here a couple of nights ago. I was very excited. And Ralph actually came out of the spirit box that you're holding, so I was really stoked about that.
Can I have this on or not?
Not yet. We're going to probably get started with that one soon. You're all about the camera right now. Again, you know every location. You can't use every single device. So. But Ralph warns him and says, dude, there's a gunman inside. He's going to try to kill you, take all your cash. You can stay with some friends of mine at 59 Church Street. Church Street is the next block up, which is where we're heading next. But he says you can stay there and you'll be safe. The doctor takes him up on the offer. The two become friends. Ralph, the doctor's practice starts to take off first off. So he's making his own money. He's proving that he doesn't need Amanda's money. He becomes known as the Whistling Doctor because he whistled all the damn time. Every haunted city you'll ever go to has a cliched whistling ghost. This one is pretty legit. So again, I'm all about the cliches, but again, I'm not one to tell myths and legends. But him and Ralph go see plays together, but they can't sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money. He gets better seats than Ralph. So they have to talk about these plays on the way home. And one night they go see William III from Shakespeare, and the doctor thought the new actress in town was fantastic. Ralph, not so much. Turns into an argument, and then Ralph starts insulting the doctor's fiancée back home in Rhode Island. Gets even uglier, and they go their separate ways. Now, Ralph is from here. He puts an ad in a paper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. The doctor sees the ad in the newspaper and rebuttals with, let's go to Jeweler's Alley. Somebody's going to die. Let's just get this settled and over with. So they come down and they take their 10 cases apart from each other. They turn, and the doctor points his gun in the air and he shoots. He did not want to kill his friend. He just wanted to have the courage and bravery to show up to the fight, which is often what happened at a duel. However, Ralph has his one shot. He puts it in the kneecap on the doctor. Now, last night we actually heard Hands on My Knees, the song. And I was like, they were laughing about it. I'm like, guys, that's actually relevant to our next space. No matter how silly you guys think it might actually be of what you're hearing, it's always relevant. But he gets shot in the kneecap and the doctor drops to the ground. His friends pick him up, carry him home to 59 Church Street, where he dies 10 days later after refusing medical treatment. This guy's a doctor. He probably tried to heal himself by bleeding it out on his own. So the ghost, like the campfire part of this, is as you walk through this alley, you can hear the whistling from the doctor. Interesting thing out here is we will get the word whistle showing up on spirit boxes, including my word list, where we'll hear whistling in songs. So take that for what it's worth. I used to take my tours all the way down through the end, just so that way they can actually listen to the whistling if there's going to be on the voice recorder. And even when it was turned the spirit boxes down, we didn't have the earbud thing yet. So I decided to go with the earbuds probably about 6 months ago, and it's been proven to be pretty worthy. So here's how I got booted out of here. Here's the fun part of the story. You want to hear how I got in trouble, don't you? So, yeah, I thought so. My daughter thought it was hysterical that night. She was on the tour that night. So the alley didn't always come all the way through. It was kind of blocked off on this end, which means the bricks on the other side of this alley are older. Those are sun-dried bricks from slave trade. They were full handprint and fingerprint swipes from those poor slave kids on the other side. Was I showing it off and like bragging about it? No. Everybody needs to see it because it's a part of history and it shows how far we've come. However, everybody wants to stop. You put an EMF meter near it, a spirit box, that kid's not staring at that brick in the afterlife. I treat that brick. Again, if we still got battery life on that thing, let's abuse it.
Gotcha.
But at that point, so if you want to continue filming, do so. As far as your EMF, we're still out of the game until we get to that last stop of the Anne Bonnie story, but have you heard anything since we've been here? I know you've been
I
trying
heard
to
like
focus.
some church music. Like
That's-
when you said something about Church Street, I heard like church music.
We're going to go to St. Philip's Church. It's not uncommon for us to hear like Bible, pastor, preacher, church music, bells, anything religiously related. We get it all the time. Which is weird that I don't have anything. Yeah, see somebody's throwing a whistle. It happens every night. So what I will tell you, as you guys, because everybody likes to try to go down there on their own, just turn on your voice recorders from your cell phone. But I do want you to keep in mind, obviously people know the story. Anybody walking up and down Cumberland or Queen Street on the other side is going to throw a whistle down the alley. I do it every night. So again, I'm the guy that got booted out. I'm going to mess with the other tours. So we actually end up there. My garage is right there. I have to pass the alley. So when my daughter's on the tour, and keep in mind she's just a year and a half older than you, we race to see who's going to throw the whistle first. But I can throw a whistle while I'm still talking. So she doesn't realize that. So we'll be chit-chatting it up, and all of a sudden I throw a whistle, and she's like, damn it, Dad. You know, and I get her every single time because she can't throw a whistle that quick. All right, let's head up to the cemetery and see if we can go find it there.
What did you say?
No whispering back there. He hear you.
Oh. Come home, come home. I heard that. Yeah.
Come home, come home.
Mhm.
Finally got something on there. That thing's usually super active for us. before I tell you what they're all doing up there, I'd like to point out a few things. That's the wall to Philadelphia alley that we were just talking about. There's a gate right in the middle of it. Does everybody see the doorway? So the gate is for the loser of the duel. Who's the loser? The dead guy. So it's a shortcut to get to the cemetery behind me. Otherwise, remember that the alley didn't go all the way through. They'd have to walk all the way down to Queen Street and come back down and around to drop off the body, which delays them going to celebrate the winner. So again, not a lot of people know why that gate is there. I still don't remember where the hell I even found that little nugget of knowledge, but I love it. It ties right into what we're doing out here. Let's go ahead and have a seat. We're going to show here for a few minutes. You guys can kill your videos, because otherwise the videos are going to be boring of me just standing here. An hour. Like I said, an hour to an hour and 15 minutes without a charge. Interesting. Alright, so our last stop, and again, this is a crazy whopper of a story. You gotta follow me. You guys all look exhausted now that I know the history of how the hell you got here. Up till 5:30 and you guys rushed in to get here. You're still wearing your flip-flops with socks. So, I can tell you like you were in the car all day. So, we're gonna be talking about this little building over here. This is the powder magazine. Those are not crosses on that building, just so everybody knows. Those are earthquake bolts. If you don't know what earthquake bolts are, they're basically turnbuckles. The gist behind it is that if we have another earthquake like what we did in 1886, you can turn those turnbuckles opposite ways and it'll straighten the building back up again and kind of resist the damage from the earthquake. It's a great idea, it just doesn't work. So the only reason I bring these up is because those are the first set of earthquake bolts that Charleston actually put in, because this is the oldest government building in South Carolina.
Don't forget to ask.
Don't forget to ask. I like it. Again, you're like getting specific direction rather than clues to the history. I like it.
I'm sorry, I don't know.
You got come home earlier. You got something else of like, you know who I am. Like, again, like she got a smart ass answer back at the Pinckney Mansion site. She was like, you know, because she was asking who's here. She's like, you know who I am. Like that's what she heard. So, but we are here because the construction of this building took place at the same time that young Anne Bonny started her pirate career in Charlestown. But of course, you know I'm all about the history, so I'm going to give you a little bit more. The walls we talked about earlier, this is Cumberland Street. This is where the wall existed. So again, we're still inside the city walls, but literally right on the edge of it. It went up past the powder magazine. You have to remember it's holding gunpowder for wars. So it goes up past the magazine and starts going south behind me towards the battery. It locks it into the corners on purpose. In the event that it gets hit from a cannonball from a pirate ship or Revolutionary warship from the water to, well, behind you guys at this point, it's going to have a hard time getting through the 35-inch thick walls. But we're going to pretend that the cannonball strikes, goes all the way through, and blows up the gunpowder. There's sand in those red shingles, like underneath it, that's supposed to, it's designed to go up in the air with the explosion and then fall to put out the fire of the gunpowder. That sand is still there from the early 1700s because sand does not disintegrate. That idea of the sand going up and putting out the fire is a great idea, but that doesn't work either. We had another powder magazine that did get hit, the sand went up, but the building burned to the ground. This one's just never been attacked. So, again, we are here because it's what I call a familiar. It's like using a toy to attract a child ghost, if you've ever done that before. So, that's kind of the same principle. Trigger object. And believe it or not, I actually have a vial of indigo seeds in my bag that I just kind of keep there to kind of stir up things for the Pinckney Mansion site. It's very small, and it was attached to a little card, but it keeps coming off. So that's the only reason I haven't been bringing it out. But the vial is this big. I had to wait like 6 weeks to get it, and it was very expensive for that very small vial. For basically, I mean, if you know anything about planting seeds, I think that thing cost me about 20 bucks, which that much, that's quite a bit for like 8 seeds that are in there. Yeah, it's ridiculous, and it's sealed. So it's not like I can even use it to make blue dye for anything. I can't redo your shirt if you fade it out, bro. So let's get into the story. This particular building took 10 years to build. That doesn't sound like our government, does it? 10 years, small building? No, not at all. 1708 is where our story begins, right in the middle of its construction. A young lady moves here from Ireland. Her name is Anne Cormack. At the time, she's a young lady. She comes here with her father and his mistress. The mistress is her mother. Is everybody with me so far? There's some twists and turns. So, the three of them are getting away from his wife. How pissed was she? That's all I'm going to say. She got to leave the country and get the hell out of Dodge. So, they land in Georgetown, which is just north of here, in between us and Myrtle Beach. Dad buys a plantation, Mom dies pretty quickly, which means he has to send young Anne down here to sell anything from the plantation to keep things afloat. Now, young Anne back home in Ireland, kind of a badass. They say she actually killed one of her servants with a knife to the belly when she was only 10 or 12 years old. Like, you killed a servant. Like, you're 10, younger than Cat. Like, that's crazy to me. So anyway, I tell that because it kind of gives you the mentality of who this young lady is as we go through the rest of the story. We're going to fast forward. The building's done in 1713. pirates are coming through town in 1715. Anne is pretty stoked. She's about 16, maybe 17 years old at this time. It's up for speculation. Again, pirate lore. But she falls in love. This guy's name is James Bonney. We're on guy number 1. Yes, I'm going to keep tally because there's quite a few. James Bonney, Dad doesn't approve of because he's a filthy pirate. They run away to Jamaica, they get married, and Cormac becomes Anne Bonny, your most famous female pirate of the Golden Age. Her career started right here in Charleston. So, this guy, when they get down there, is not the Captain Jack Sparrow she was hoping for, right? Because that's what every young lady wanted back then, was a Captain Jack Sparrow. This guy's a privateer. What does that mean? He's a coward. He's a spy for the British. This is not who she wants. A few years later, she falls in love again. This guy's name is Calico Jack. So, his real name is John Rackham, and this Calico Jack character is the same guy that they based Captain Jack Sparrow from the pirate movies off of, just so you guys have that reference. Now, Calico Jack has his own ship, and Anne wants to be part of it. You can't put a girl on the crew. Girls curse pirate ships. She's bad luck. So he makes a deal with her. If you dress like a guy, you can be part of the crew, but you're going to be a female in my quarters. She's okay with this because Dad used to cross-dress her as a boy back home in Ireland to keep her away from his wife. So she's like, whatever, I'm a pirate, let's go. Now, being a female in his quarters, most of us are adults, we can put 2 and 2 together. She's eventually going to get pregnant. You cannot have a pregnant pirate guy on the crew. Somebody's going to figure out that she's a girl. He drops her off in Cuba. Go have the baby, come back later, we'll figure it out. She comes back, but without a child. We have no idea what happened to this baby at all. We don't know if the baby lived, died, if she left him, we don't know. But she's also dressed like a female. This makes Jack pretty angry. While she was away, giving birth to his child, he captured another pirate crew and they're down below deck. Anne's going to go flirting with that pirate crew because that's what Anne does. Guy number 3. Guy number 3 turns out to be a female, dressed like a guy, to be part of the pirate crew that Calico Jack just captured. So now we have 2 females dressed like guys to be pirates on the same ship. This young lady's name is Mary Reed. Her and Mary become friends, possibly lovers, we'll never know for certain. But Mary becomes part of the crew, but the British find out where they are. They send their entire fleet of ships to come take down one pirate ship. Anne and Mary are the only 2 pirates not drunk enough to come up and fight with their 1-bullet flintlocks, because they don't know how to use the damn cannons. So as they're being arrested, because this is a pretty obvious outcome, fleet of ships taking down 2 young ladies, they're being arrested. She looks at her captain and beau and says, Jack, you should have fought like a man instead of going down like a dog. So again, the word dog shows up on your spirit boxes quite often here. The judge, he wants to see the 2 men that fought back by themselves after he's already tried and hung Calico Jack and the drunken pirate crew that wouldn't fight. So Anne and Mary go in front. They reveal that they're female. He doesn't care that they're female. He's still going to hang them because they're still pirates. We plead our bellies was the last thing they screamed out to the judge, claiming to be pregnant, because you can't hang a pregnant woman in 1720. So he delays the hanging, sends them both back to jail. Dad is still here in Charleston with all of his Irish money. He bails out Anne, brings her back home. She remarries. That's husband number 2, but guy number 4 has 4 kids and dies at the age of 84. That's all we know. As far as Mary Reed goes, she died a year later in that Jamaican jail from whatever pirates die from in a Jamaican jail. I'm sure it was scurvious and bumpy and gross and nasty. So, I left out 2 things for you. You all know how to ask questions in spaces by now using spirit boxes, but I left out 2 things that I can actually prove. Those things are the name of Anne Bonny's parents. That's the father and the mistress. The name of Calico Jack's ship. Did you hear something?
No.
Oh, you okay?
I'm laughing because when I came in, I heard Mom and Dad. And then, like, the next thing I heard was something about asking.
Don't forget to ask him.
Don't forget to ask. So, I don't know. I just heard Mom and Dad when I came in. So, when you said that, I was like, oh, yeah, I remember hearing Mom and Dad when I came in.
The other thing I left out was the name of Calico Jack's ship. So if you want to ask what that is, I'm going to steal you guys for 1 more minute before we start spreading out and getting some footage. Is your camera still on? I'm amazed. Like, that thing is being phenomenal. I'm truly amazed. I don't think I've ever ran it without the cord. But I told you guys at the beginning that people have passed out on the shores. So here's a story that's actually relevant to what I just told you. Back in September, nice cool night like this, probably even a few degrees cooler than this. It's like high 60s. Are you okay, sweetheart? Mm-hmm. Okay. I was going to say, because there's a vending machine like across the street if you need water. We'll send Jamil over. He doesn't know it, but I'm going to send him over. But anyway, so I bring my group back here, just like what we're standing. Group of like 8, 9, or 10 people. The kid next to me, he goes white as a ghost and starts to drop. So I have to pick him up by his armpit and hurry up and catch him before he hits his head. His boyfriend picks him up from the other side. We walk him over to that wall, which is where we're all going to be heading, and we get him a bottle of water. And he starts feeling better, which means I then tell the story. It's important to know, like, before he passed out, like, he didn't know what you guys now know. Afterwards, I spread everybody out with their devices. They pull me aside. Nick, we got to tell you. I'm like, what's going on? We are 2 transgender males, meaning I had 2 females dressed as males, just like Anne and Mary from my story. Wow. Yeah, pretty badass. I tell this every night. It's really cool. However, it all made complete sense as to why one of them passed out almost instantaneously at entering the space. So that's why I give the heated warning. Psychics and mediums normally don't make it through this. They normally don't get past the Pinckney Mansion site. Like, I don't know how many times I've had to call the paramedics on nice, cool nights where somebody's not overdressed because of our heat. So again, take that for what it's worth. First time somebody passed out on a tour, I went, oh shit. I was in CPR class the next day. So I am certified and carry a first aid kit at all times because I have to have it. So those of you with cameras, if you want to go to the front of the powder magazine, you can do that. You would have to exit the lot, like by going straight out here, make a left. You'll go up to the front, get us a little bit of footage if you'd like. Your lights are all on, which is good. So the only thing I ask is you don't get in the way of other tours. We're a much smaller group, which is why I like to just stay out of their way. This is a very popular corner. Well, you've seen a bunch of tours so far. Kat, as far as your device, she's like, oh, I'm awake now. He said my name. So you're not going to get a whole lot of numbers. You're going to get some color, hopefully. So you definitely want to get your antenna out and hit the white button in the back to actually turn that piece on. So, Miss Kendra, tell me exactly what we've heard. I'm going to be like the crazy news reporter. Damn it. You heard mom and dad, right?
I heard mom and dad. And
don't forget to ask me.
Don't forget to ask. And I've heard like church music, like
that's right,
a couple of times. Come home, come home.
Yeah, I got that one. That was across the street.
Yeah.
Celebrate that one over there. And yes, you can definitely turn on your SB11 unmuted if you'd like. Like, this is a good spot for that one too. I would tell you the second night that I had that device, I teamed it up with the thermal imaging camera because it doesn't record. Yours records audio as well, so if we were going to miss something, it would be able to capture it that way. Second night we had it, I was wrapping things up, and before they handed it over to me, the word pirate came through clear as day. Everybody heard it, but we caught the actual audio from the thermal imaging because it was still running.
That's pretty cool.
I was pretty stoked about that. So again, for me, it's all about like what can I join with something else to see where we can capture the audio. So, but yeah, let's spread out. I'm gonna go chill over there by the wall because you guys came here to work. I'm gonna go chill out now, and you guys come back to me in like 5 minutes and tell me what you guys got going on. If anything's there, obviously I'll say let's keep going. Otherwise, we'll wrap it up and we'll call it a night.
It's time to stop.
Time to stop?
Yep.
No way, Ann. We're just getting started. Normally, I would give that as my cue, but we just got here. That cracks me up. I listen to these other tour guides every single night around this corner, and all they do is beg for reviews. I look at it this way. If I gave you a few reminders, like in your data and that kind of thing, if you're going to leave a review because you had that good of a time, awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Right.
But I'm not going to sit here and beg y'all for a 5-star review. Like, come on now. Like, if somebody texts me and telling me how great of a time they had, I'm like, that's awesome. Can you please put that in a review? Like, it just helps other people. Yeah. You know what I mean? And if you ain't got nothing nice to say, then don't put up a damn review. Like, make sure my business keeps rolling. That's the way I look at it. Because I do get them negative Nancy's that, like, he took us to a bunch of Birkin lots. Like, and there was some old lady that had no idea what was going on. Like, I'm giving her technology and she's lost. I'm not putting all this on my audio, too. That's awesome. That's great. I'm just advertising that old people don't understand our technology. That's great. But I do get some. Like, holy cow.
I just heard the first, it was like G-L-A.
Like,
it was like the first part of that song, Glamorous.
Okay.
I don't know, I'm sorry. Discombobulated. Yes, I feel very discombobulated. Thank you, whoever you are. I appreciate that.
I haven't looked at my word list in a minute. I'm honored that this is the first thing you guys did as soon as you got here.
I like stuff like this. He really doesn't.
Really?
I do. Oh, I see you saying I don't.
Yeah, but if anything, I designed this so even my skeptics had a good time with the history because it's legit.
Yeah.
And I get little ones
We
on
love
tour,
you.
Too. We get a lot of love terms around here. I will tell you, I have the father's first name on my word list.
Oh, okay.
So I'm stoked about that. You heard we love you?
Yeah.
All right, Ann, we love you too, but you got to give us more than this. Can you give us the name of your mother, please?
She said, I will choose. I will choose.
That means it's probably going over there. You guys getting anything on that spirit box?
No, I haven't had anything clear. But she just jumped up over the tree on the meter and
The bushes in that corner, the park view
They knew better than anybody. Broken. What's the name of Jack's ship?
This upgrade
What's the name of the ship?
versus the old one. The old one, like, it kept stopping every 2 minutes. Like, we literally had to like stop the video and restart it so we lose the footage we had.
Wind drag? What's the name of the ship?
It has higher light spills into the front of it. I came up with this idea with the battery pack because I knew it was going to drain like 3 batteries a night on a 2-hour tour. You know what I mean? So I was like, let me throw
What
some
are
out.
your parents' names?
No, this is sweet. It's got some bugs. You know.
It starts with mom. I'm glad you let me experiment with it.
I'm glad you let me play with it.
Yeah, that's the whole point of why you're here.
What's the name of the ship?
It's fine saying battery low,
Finally.
but it's at 18% though.
Okay. Oh, that's good. You can actually see that. Go ahead and click the egg. Oh, no, let's leave it on there. That way you can actually see before it dies. We can stop the video so we don't lose it. So what's the relationship here?
Oh, my fiance.
Okay.
It's her birthday today.
Oh, get the hell out of here. You're supposed to tell me that shit at the beginning. Well, happy birthday.
Thank you.
And you know what cracks me up? Is she wants to celebrate her life by looking for dead people.
Yeah.
That's why he's here, because it's your birthday. That's
Yeah.
why. Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's why.
It's our first time in Charleston.
And you guys live in Georgia, really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I guess I shouldn't say much. I lived in Myrtle Beach for like 4.5 years before I came down here, and that's when I moved here. Like, I came down here for a quick vacation to do my interview for the job I was applying for. I got the job. We moved a week later.
4. I just circled. Good.
4 good.
I don't act right.
She doesn't act right.
Wow.
Responsibilities.
That job is not easy. And I listen to that with my first cup of coffee every single day. Because I got to go through your tour data in the morning. So that's the first thing I go through.
Dude, I did not hear you. I asked you what was the name of the boat.
Give me the name of the boat.
Complex.
Mmm.
I can't. Market.
In my car. Homeboy.
Tell me. Road. One.
Alright, guys, come on.
Donald.
She's got some like weird responses.
I'm sorry. I don't know. It's just weird
That's the whole point.
stuff.
That's why I withhold stuff. So you guys actually, when something does come through, it's a holy cow moment. I will tell you, because I don't think I told the two of you yet, I have the father's name that showed up on the word list.
Oh, wow.
So, see what else come up here. And I get a lot of terms around here always wrapped around like water. So I do have the word ocean. Yeah, you guys can sit down if you want to. I'll move my bag. You guys have been on your feet or stuck in the car all day. The name of the father was William.
That's no Mike or Ike.
Yeah, definitely not Mike or Ike. That's why I didn't write it down. I'm going to keep that running, but I am going to kind of show you again the mugshot of Ann Bonnie. Give you guys the answers to the 2 simple questions I gave you, and then we'll get you guys back to your vehicles because you're all exhausted as hell.
Nah, this is fun.
So this is one of the few pictures you can find of Ann Bonnie with a shirt on. Reason being is because she used to bare her breast to show men that they were just killed by a woman. Told you she was a badass. So that is Ann Bonnie, at least how one person depicts her. She's usually depicted as the voluptuous vixen. I have seen some other paintings of her where she looks a little mannish. I can see where she would have been passed off as a dude on a pirate ship. The name of her parents again, William Cormack, Mary Brennan. You guys were not expecting the secondary Mary, which is how I designed this, so that way you guys didn't have that subliminal message because you weren't expecting it. So again, it wasn't a George Washington deal. It was more like, oh, if I hear Mary, you're going to automatically relate it to her friend/lover, Mary Reed, instead of Mary Brennan, the mother. I also like to show you Calico Jack. So Calico Jack, again, this is the guy they based Captain Jack Sparrow off of. His ship name was called the Kingston. I don't expect Kingston to actually pop up on a spirit box, but the word king will suffice. Now, Calico Jack was named that. Remember, his real name was John Rackham. So he's called Calico Jack because of the jackets that he wears. They actually came from the men he killed, which would have been British captains. So Calico basically means fancy, and Jack, basically jack of all trades. So he's the fancy jack of all trades. So Calico Jack is obviously based off of the jackets. This is the only picture that you can find of Calico Jack that would be anything accurate to what he actually looked like. So those are your very, very simple answers. Oh, before I forget, right where you guys are sitting, this is from the camera that Belinda's using, and I told you about that orb. It's going to show up right here in just a moment, and then it'll start going up past behind me. It's almost like it's seen my shoulders and said, nope, I'm going to go this way.
Yeah, I see it.
And for some odd reason, this tablet loves to make it dark. It should look that nice and bright, and it is. And I slowed down a little bit just so I can study it and see the direction that it's moving in. This one actually happened in Lodge Alley. It's right down in here. It's going to be very quick. It does appear in the video and then leaves the video. So all within the frame. Did you get? I mean, it's super fast. So, and it was slowed down. I was lucky to capture it as quickly as I did. I think that's all the videos I actually have on here. Oh, this one's interesting. So, kind of give you a progression. This video, I actually had to take screenshots just because it was in the camera you're using. It was in the hands of an 8-year-old girl, which means it bounced. She's very small, right? So the screenshots that I find, I want you to pay attention to this blue dot right here. See it getting bigger? That's how big it got. Notice the coldest area on that figure is in the face.
Yeah.
So when you watch the video, it looks like it's walking. That's the size that it started off as. It was coming right at us. Now, when I say keep people in view, somebody's always in view. You could see the skin. That way it gives us obviously the difference in the temperature. So again, a little progression of how big it gets. It was obviously much closer. But yeah, crazy stuff. Last but not least, I think I have one of the 3 figures. That one was super cool. We actually caught 3 figures at the Pinckney Mansion site standing behind my group that was with me. And I do not have it. So I don't have it with me, but it was caught on the thermal imaging camera as well. 3 adults standing behind my group of 5 to 6 people. So it was pretty crazy stuff. And we watched it grow in temperature, like grow cold. Unfortunately, the camera did not stay there long enough, so that way we can see if it turned out to be the coldest spot in the frame with the blue dot, where you can see those figures start to form. And it's crazy. 3 heads, 3 sets of shoulders, they're all standing next to each other. Only 3 adult children out of the Pinckney Mansion site, if you remember. Because remember, baby George never made it. So, take that for what it's worth. You guys can ask me a million questions as I take your devices. I'm going to get you guys my card. And that way, you guys can check out the website ahead of time, and you'll have a way to contact me. So, Glenda, I'm going to take your camera first, because it has its own, actually, both of your devices go in the same pocket. So I'm going to take both of them.
Okay.
Nice attempt on this one. This one's not easy either, but I'm going to stop recording. So bummed out. I really got to play with the settings on this guy, I think. Just sit down with it for a few hours and make sure it's going to do what I need it to do. Because the other one was working just fine when I got it. What questions do you guys have? Other things to do in Charleston? Things about my investigations? Wow, super quiet.
What is...
Point proven.
So is that the weirdest thing that you've seen? The three
I was just gonna
adults
ask about that. What's the
materializing behind
best
that?
experience.
No, but it is. It's up there.
Well, what's the creepy?
You have to imagine. I do this for a living. I don't get